Just sent a message on WhatsApp. It responds immediately with advice from the coach that I can take action on right now. In this video, I will show you how to build a $1,000 AI chatbot on n8n that supports coaching clients with real advice 24/7 so that the coach has more time to do the other things that actually grow their business. I just want to show you how it will all look by the end. First of all, we'll have a WhatsApp trigger that will start the conversation, and then we'll just have this little if gate to make sure that the trigger is actually a message sent by the user. And then over here is basically the brains, the AI assistant that will have a bit of memory and will be connected to the Pinecone vector storage, which will contain the knowledge of the AI chatbot, so the advice that the coach would want to give to clients. And then over here we would have the last WhatsApp note that would actually send the message back out to whoever the person is that asked the question, whoever the client is. And then to fill up the Pinecone vector store with knowledge, we will also create a second workflow that will find files in your Google Drive, download the file, and then upload them one by one to the Pinecone vector storage as well. And by the way, don't be intimidated if you've never built on n8n before, because this video will take you from zero to a $1,000 AI chatbot that you can start selling to coaches by the time you're done. And to make this easy for you, I split this video into 5 specific steps that we'll go through, starting with setting up your Meta developer account, and then setting up the webhooks that will allow you to connect WhatsApp via your Meta developer account to n8n, and then adding a WhatsApp number to that, building the actual n8n workflows, and then finally uploading knowledge to your AI chatbot using Pinecone. So let's start on step 1, setting up your Meta developer account. All right, so you want to start by making sure that you have a Meta Business Suite account. So head over to business.facebook.com. Once you're on business.facebook.com, you can go ahead and either create an account or log into your Business Suite account. So you can continue with Facebook or Instagram if you're creating a new account, or you can just log in with a managed Meta account. But I'll continue with Facebook because that's the account that I use to sign up for Meta Business Suite. And by the way, you'll see me move the webcam from left to right throughout the video just to make sure that you guys can see what I'm trying to show you guys. But essentially, what you want to start by doing is you'll be on a page like this when you sign into Meta Business Suite, and you want to head over into settings in the bottom left and apps. And then in this app section, you'll either have an app or you won't have a few apps already. But if you don't have an app already, just select add and then create a new app ID, and it should open a new pop-up on the developers.facebook.com website. For the app name, I've just tried calling it WhatsApp AI Chatbot, but you can see terms like WhatsApp are not allowed. So just go ahead and call it something like Coach Chatbot, and then move to the next stage. For the use cases, there's only one use case that we need to select, and it's connect with customers through WhatsApp. If you don't see it on the featured page, just go to business messaging and you should see it over here. Select that alone and then select next. And then choose the business portfolio that you want to connect this app into. I have multiple business portfolios, but if you've just created your Business Suite account, you should only have one. Select that one that you want to use and then select next. And then you should not really get any requirements identified. You can select next after there, and then there will be an overview of everything you've just selected, and you can create the app, and it should be created now. Now, before we go on to finish setting up the app in Meta for developers, you want to open n8n so that we can begin adding information from the app to n8n, connecting WhatsApp to n8n through that process. So go ahead and visit n8n.io, start for free, or sign into your n8n account. And if you're starting for free, I'd recommend that you go ahead and try their free trial for 14 days. I'm not partnered with n8n at all, but it's just a really good software to use for automation and building AI chatbots. And you can just try it for 14 days and see if it's worth it. But essentially, once you've signed into your n8n account, you should be on a page that looks something like this. This is essentially your overview, your dashboard, where you can see all your projects and all your workflows. And what you want to do is you want to create a new workflow, and we shall call it the Coach AI Chatbot. Now, the first connection we're going to make between n8n and your Meta for Developers account is to essentially allow n8n to receive a trigger when someone sends a message to the WhatsApp number that we shall connect. So select add first step, search for WhatsApp. You should see WhatsApp Business Cloud here. And then you want to select on messages. So on a message being received, send a trigger over here. And next, we're going to have to configure the credential that will connect it to the Meta for Developers account. So you can see I already have a credential connected here, but I'll actually create a new one. In case you don't have one already, just select create a new one. It should look blank, and essentially it should take you to a page that looks something like this. Head back into your Meta for Developers account, and on the left sidebar you should see app settings. You want to select that and go to basic, and then inside that you should be able to find your app ID up here and your app secret. So copy your app ID and go ahead and paste that in the client ID section of this page over here in n8n, and go back into Meta Developers again, and to copy your app secret just select show and essentially enter your password to give you access to it, and then from there you can go on to copy your app secret. By the way, you want to keep this safe, so I'm not going to show it on screen, and make sure you also don't share it with anyone. Once you have it, come back into n8n and paste it there as your client secret, and then select save, and it should tell you that the credential was successfully created inside your personal space. But there's one last thing you need to do while you're inside this node, and it's because whenever someone sends a message to your WhatsApp account and then you read that message or the message is noted as delivered, Meta will go ahead and resend another trigger to n8n, which you don't want to be happening, because it's a waste of your processes if you're getting triggers just for messages being read or delivered or seen, etc. So come into add options and select receive message status updates, essentially, and then you want to select expression, and this expression says to receive all message status updates, but just change the text in all to something random. I'll just change it to dog. So this is essentially telling it to only receive message status updates that are called dog, and really there's no message status updates called dog, so it should be fine. Just make sure whatever you select is not one of these over here, all deleted, delivered, failed, read, sent, etc., because these are real message status updates that will actually trigger your workflow. Now, before we publish, you need to head back into your dashboard in Meta Developers before you publish your app here, and you need to add a privacy policy URL for your AI chatbot. If you don't know how to write one, just go over to ChatGPT, give it a prompt about your business, tell it what you do, and then tell it what this chatbot will be used in the coach's business for. So essentially tell them about what the coach does, why they need to chat with users over WhatsApp, where this data will be stored and why it will be collected, how people can request to have their conversation data deleted, and all of that stuff. And once you have a document, just put it into a PDF and upload it to your Google Drive with a publicly viewable link. You can see I drafted mine already over here, and I put it in Google Drive with a share link that is available to anyone. Anyone with a link can essentially view it, and then you want to copy that link and come over here and paste that as your privacy policy URL. You need to have this before you can publish your app. You have that, once you have that, scroll to the bottom of still the basic section and then select save changes. And now once that is done, head over into the publish tab, also on the left column over here, and we're now going to publish your app. You should see that you can click the publish button, which you will not be able to do if you haven't done the privacy policy from the last step I've just walked you through, and then just go ahead and select publish. It should tell you that your app was successfully published after a few seconds, and you can just select done. The next thing that you want to do is head over into use cases, also on the left panel, and then we shall begin to customize it and actually connect it to n8n. So select customize. And when you load in, you'll see that there's a couple of steps you have to walk through. Step number 1, 2, and 3 to essentially get your number up, but you don't need to do step number 3. I'll just take you through steps number 1 and a good portion of step number 2, and with those alone your AI chatbot will be fully connected to n8n. The reason you can go ahead and do step number 3, the business verification, but the reason I avoid it is because it involves uploading documents for meta review and stuff like that, which not all coaches have, like official business documents, and so it might get a little tedious or difficult for you to do. So you can go ahead and skip step number 3, but start with step number 1, trying it out. First of all, you want to claim a WhatsApp test number. You can see that I've already claimed mine over here. If you haven't claimed yours, go ahead and claim it. And then you want to send a message from your test number to your real phone number just to see that this actually works. So select generate token after you have your test number. It should take you to a pop-up that looks something like this: continuous inokomunu, opt into all current and future WhatsApp accounts, and then hit save. and then got it when that is done. You should see it will generate an access token here, and then down here you can see that this button has turned blue, and I can actually click it after entering a phone number of someone I can send a message to. So like this is my real WhatsApp phone number, and just send a random message such as an order confirmation and send the message, and then go over to your phone to check that the message has actually gone through. If you get the message, everything is working fine, and you can then go ahead and select continue to production setup, step 2. Before we go any further, if this video is helping you, go ahead and subscribe so that you don't miss out on the next AI chatbot tutorials that I will share here. Step 2 is wiring the webhooks so that n8n receives incoming message triggers from your WhatsApp. Essentially what you want to do is, once you're in production setup, you want to start by doing this first step, which is configuring the webhooks, and you need to have a callback URL that Meta API can essentially use to connect to n8n. So come into n8n over here, and in this same page where you had just input the WhatsApp trigger, this WhatsApp trigger node, up here you should see a little toggle that says webhook URLs. Click that, and then instead of selecting test, go to production URL and copy any one of these. They're actually the same, so I'll go ahead and copy this one by clicking on it, and then come back into your Meta for Developers account and paste that over here as your callback URL, and then just enter a random string of text as your verified token. So I'll just enter I am cool 1 2 3 4 5, and then what you want to do is verify and save. And when you do that, you should get a little error, just like I got here, saying that the URL can't be validated. And that just means that your n8n project isn't live yet. So come back into n8n, leave this page over here and select publish. It should tell you that your workflow is published with just what is available on it so far. So literally just this first node. And then if we try this again, verify and save, you should see that your page should essentially reload, and it should send you to a page that looks like this to confirm that it has actually worked. And you can just click back into production setup, and you should see that you've finished configuring the webhooks. If we click this little toggle down here, you'll see a bunch of things that your webhook is able to do and a bunch of subscription it has. And you can see the subscriptions are still over here loading, but essentially just untick all of these except for messages. So I'll untick all of these over here: security, phone number, quality, update. These are essentially all things that would trigger your n8n workflow, and the only one that you want to leave on is messages. So let me just make sure I've unsubscribed to all of these up here: account update, account review update, account alerts. All of those should be off, unsubscribed, and so the only one that should remain subscribed is messages. Once that's done, you can scroll to the bottom, and we'll then move to the next task, which is registering your WhatsApp phone number. Step number 3 is registering and verifying the business phone number that will send and receive WhatsApp messages. If you don't have a WhatsApp number already in your Meta Business Suite WhatsApp Manager, it should look like this. So what you can do is add a new number, give it a WhatsApp display name. So this is what it will actually be called when someone tries to message this number in WhatsApp. This is the name that they shall see. So I will go ahead and put in AI Business Coach. Select your time zone. So I'm in GMT +3, Africa/Nairobi. Select a business category. I'll go ahead and just select other, and then business description, I'll just put coaching. And then you can go ahead and select next. And then from here, you want to add the actual phone number that will be used, that people will be able to message to talk to your AI chatbot and get information. So just make sure that you add a number that the coach can easily share to their clients to send a message to whenever they like. And this number should be one that is basically just fresh, not connected to any WhatsApp accounts, and is just available for use. Enter the 6-digit code that they request over here. And just like that, my phone number is connected, but there's a little tag on the side that says not registered. You basically want to register it, so select register, and then enter the 6-digit PIN for this number. Just enter a PIN that you can write down and keep safe for later. So basically just create a 6-digit PIN, and then after a few seconds, it should say that the phone number is registered. There you go, registered. And then you just want to select subscribed webhooks so that it will essentially allow this phone number to send webhooks out to n8n when events happen, like someone sends a message to it. Now, after adding the phone number, you should see a few more fields appear up here, which are subscribed. You just want to turn all of these off once again, except for messages. So I'll go ahead and turn those off. And yep, that should be the last one. There we go. So we're essentially done. Oh, there's two more. And the only one that should remain on is messages. That's the only one that we wanted to actually subscribe to webhooks for. And then when you scroll back down to your phone number over here, essentially what you want to do is copy the WhatsApp business account ID. So copy the entire thing, and you just want to save it somewhere safe that you can come back to later, such as your notepad or something on your laptop that you can just copy paste from later, because we shall need this very shortly. I've saved mine to notes, and then I'll go ahead to the next one. Essentially, you can skip this one about adding payment to send business initiated messages, because our AI chatbot will work based on people initiating a message with it first. But if you wanted to allow it to initiate messages with people, such as like if you're building a follow-up bot, then you'd need to do this step, but I'll skip this for now. And then next you want to test your registered number. So the first thing you want to do is generate a permanent token. It will open up a page like this asking you to generate a code in your authentication app. So if you've already set up your authenticator, then you want to go into the app and just generate the code and input it here for the security. So I've opened my app right now, and I'll go ahead and put the code in. It should generate a permanent token, which you can go ahead and copy. And once again, you want to save this permanent token in the same place that you just saved your business account ID, just somewhere safe where you can come back to it in a few minutes, because we shall use this to connect your WhatsApp to n8n to allow it to send messages, to allow n8n to basically send a message to WhatsApp, which WhatsApp will send to someone. Once you've done that, just select a recipient where you want to send the test message. Go ahead and select your current WhatsApp number so that you can see the message sent to it. And then just add a body message that you would want to send there. What can I help you with today? Today. Test. And then I'll go ahead. I've just gotten it on my phone, except this time it's from this registered number that we've connected instead of being from the random test number. So it works. Random test number, so it works. So essentially Meta can now actually talk to your n8n workflow. It can essentially send it triggers when it receives a message, but we haven't yet built the part where n8n can talk back to Meta. We shall do that shortly, but first you want to test whether n8n actually receives the trigger when someone sends a message to WhatsApp. So head over into executions, and then in this same chat where you've just received the test message from your registered number, you want to type a message back. So I'll just go ahead and say hi, and you should see an event pop in over here every single time that you send a message. So if I say hi again, you should see another execution show up over here. There we go. Now that we're at step 4, we're going to build the actual n8n workflow and wire the automation that reads messages, calls the AI, and actually sends them a reply. The first thing that we will add is essentially an if gateway, just to make sure that the actual data that is moving from here to the rest of the AI chatbot is from a real message. Double click on that and you should go to a page that looks like this. Over here where it says T and then is equal to, change it from is equal to by clicking on it to is not empty. And then over here you want to type in the following: 2 curly brackets, spacebar, a $sign, the text JSON, and then dot messages. So 2 curly brackets, $sign, the text JSON, and then dot messages. And what this will essentially do is it will look at the JSON, the output of the trigger over here, to essentially understand whether it contains messages. So if the messages are not empty, and if it does, then it will proceed. But if it's just a status update, then it will not contain this messages part over here. And so it will mean that it's not something that should be passed on to the AI chatbot. Once you've done that, just make sure that you also select convert types where required. Otherwise you will get an error later on in the workflow. And I've just realized that this little toggle at the top is supposed to be object is not empty instead of text is not empty. Change it to that before you proceed. And so if this if statement is true, then you want to select add, and you want to put in an AI agent. So I'll just go ahead and add that over there. and I'll close that. But if it's false, you don't have to add anything, so it would just end the workflow over here. But now you want to click into this AI agent tab, and you want to add a chat model. We shall go with OpenAI chat model. And essentially you will need to create an OpenAI API account and then input your credentials over here. To do that, just head over to platform.openai.com and either create an account or log in. Once you've created your account, you should be on a page that looks something like this. Mine would look a little different with some graph data and credit balance because I've been using this quite a bit. But essentially, if you want to start the first thing you want to do is actually deposit credit balance into your account. So come over into personal and then head over into profile settings, and then you essentially want to go to billing and you want to add a payment method. It should tell you to add a payment method somewhere over here, or you can just go to payment methods and add one over here. And once you've added a payment method, you can then deposit credit balance. So go ahead and deposit like $5 or $10 just to get this project started. But essentially this is a process you would want to take the coach through when you're building an AI chatbot for them, except you'd want to set up all of these things, including the n8n and the OpenAI accounts and even the meta developer accounts in their names and using their login details. That way, even if you're not around, their project remains up and their clients can still access the AI chatbot that you built for them. Or you can just go to payment methods and add one over here. And once you've added a payment method, you can then deposit credit balance. So go ahead and deposit like $5 or $10 just to get this project started. But essentially, this is a process you would want to take the coach through when you're building an AI chatbot for them, except you'd want to set up all of these things, including the n8n and the OpenAI accounts and even the meta developer accounts in their names and using their login details. That way, even if you're not around, their project remains up and their clients can still access the AI chatbot that you built for them. But from here, essentially, once you've deposited credit balance, you can then head over into API keys up here, and you want to create a new secret key. So just give your key a name. I'll call it the Coach AI chatbot. And then over here, you can select a project to put it in. I'll go ahead and put it in the default project, and then I'll leave permissions to all, and I'll create the secret key. Now you need to copy this value that it generates over here because it will not show it to you again. So copy it and keep it somewhere safe in the same place where you kept the other values that we've copied throughout this video, and then you can just select done. Now heading back into n8n, into this page where you are on the OpenAI chat model, double click that, and once you're inside like this, essentially select edit, or if I already have an OpenAI account connected, so that's why I can edit this essentially. But if you don't have one connected, you want to create a new credential. Most of you will probably land on the n8n free OpenAI API credits, which will allow you to use OpenAI for just like a couple of conversations, which is not what we want. So you can use it to do a bit of testing, but they will very quickly run out. So you want to create new credentials after depositing funds in your OpenAI API account, and then come over here, select create new credential, and just paste in your API key over here. And that's literally all you have to do. Select save, and you should see the credential successfully created. And so if I double click this again, I should see OpenAI account 2. And that's the one that I shall use. That's the one I've just created. And then from here, you can then select a model that you want to use to power your AI agent. Now, you need to take into consideration the model that you choose. If you do go ahead for something like GPT-5, it will mean that every single conversation, every single process that your AI agent does costs you more money inside your OpenAI API account, and so you will go through your $5 or $10 or whatever amount spend that you've put there. You will go through that spend much faster, and it will be depleted much faster. So you want to pick a model that is cost effective, but is also quite fast and is able to respond to users appropriately. So just play around with what you have. If you have a slightly bigger budget and you're building an AI chatbot for a coach who has clients that ask more complex questions, you obviously want to select a more powerful model, knowing that it will cost you more because you're willing to spend $100 per month on API tokens on your OpenAI account. But if you're building something simple and small and you're not willing to spend that much on tokens inside your OpenAI account, then I would recommend that you go for something like GPT 5 Nano or Mini. So I'll go ahead with GPT 5 Mini. And by the way, the Mini and Nano tiers are the ones that are quite cost effective, but the main versions like GPT-5 are the ones that can be a little more expensive, but are a little bit more powerful. I'll go ahead and just close this over here. Also, I'll drop the complete n8n templates that I've used in this build so that you can just essentially copy them and import them into your n8n account so that you don't have to go through the build process. Should save you about 15 minutes if you want it, but I'm taking you through this process so that you can actually understand how your AI chatbot works. The next thing that you want to do is add memory to your AI chatbot. This will essentially allow it to understand the full conversation context by remembering like the past 10 messages that have happened. So select simple memory over here and change the context window length to like 10. And essentially you want to change this from connected chat trigger node to define below. And then just pause the video and copy what I've typed here character for character to make sure that it's the exact same. And then you can paste that into the key section of your simple memory tab. And once you've done that, you can then close. Head back into your AI agent by double clicking on it, and you want to essentially give it a prompt. So source for prompt, instead of selecting chat connected chat trigger node, click this and select define below. And the prompt is where we shall put the user's message. So over here, just click this down arrow over here and scroll all the way down to messages, text and body, and you want to put the body over here. After having a user message over here, you want to add a system prompt to tell it what to do with a user message. So add option, select system message. Now over here in the system message, you essentially want to paste in the prompt from the document in the video description below. So go ahead and just open that prompt document and then paste the prompt over here. And essentially you can edit it to change your business name or to change the coach's name over here. So I've just put Ivy-Flow AI, which is my AI agency that builds AI chatbots and agents for businesses. And then over here, you can, once you've put the prompt over here, you can then essentially click out of this to close. And you just want to add a tool, and the tool that we shall add is the Pinecone Vector Store. So search for Pinecone and you should see it over here, Pinecone Vector Store. This is essentially the platform that we shall use to upload knowledge to it, and you should see it appear over here on the side. I don't know why it's so far out. Once you've added that, we'll come back to it shortly when we're doing the knowledge, but essentially then you want to build the last section of the AI chatbot, which is now sending the message back to the user. So select add and then search for WhatsApp again, WhatsApp Business Cloud, and instead you want to send message. So click that over here. Resource should stay as message, operations should stay as send, and in recipient's phone number, you want to click WhatsApp, the WhatsApp trigger over here. And then if you scroll down to messages from, you want to copy the from and put it over here in the recipient's phone number section. And just like that, it should fill in the expression for you. And the sender phone number, essentially you want to change this to expression, and the sender phone number or ID is the one that's going to be up here. So under metadata, you should see display phone number and then phone number ID. You want to drag that over there, and this is essentially you telling it to use that WhatsApp number that you've attached inside your Meta Business Suite to send a message to the recipient's phone number, which is whoever sent a message to it first that triggered the workflow. And then the message text type will be text, and the body of the text, what is actually going to be inside the message, is what will be spat out from the AI agent. For the credential, you won't have one already, but you want to create one. So select create or edit or whatever. You can see I already have one, but I'll essentially add a new one. So create new credential, and you'll see access token and business account ID. Now remember the permanent token that we copied from the Meta for Developers site that I told you to keep safe? Yeah, you essentially want to paste that over here, and also the WhatsApp business account ID that I told you to copy and keep safe, you also want to paste that over here. And then select save. It should tell you that the credential has been successfully saved, and then you can select a phone number, the sender phone number that it shall use to send a message from. You can actually just find it over here by selecting the WhatsApp trigger on the side. Make sure you're in schema, by the way, and then go down to metadata, and you should see phone number ID here, which you can just select and drag, and it should automatically fill that in. And then for the text body, you just want to put in two curly brackets. Start by selecting expression, of course. Don't be like me, and then delete all of this, put two curly brackets, and then just put JSON dot output. So two curly brackets and then $JSON dot output, and essentially what that will do is it will take the output from the AI agent, the previous node, and it will put its output in the text body. And once that is done, you can then close that. And essentially I now want to publish it, but you realize that it's not letting me do so. It probably isn't letting you do so either because this Pinecone vector store isn't properly set up. So I'll just go ahead and turn this off for now by selecting this little button over here to deactivate it. So I'll just deactivate it for now, and I'll hit publish. And now someone who sends a message to your AI agent over WhatsApp, to your AI chatbot over WhatsApp, should be able to get a response back from it based on this prompt that we've pasted here. And by the way, also just to explain this if statement over here, essentially what it does is it makes sure that the AI chatbot does not loop back on itself. And because what happens is when someone sends a message, it triggers this, and then it goes through this workflow, and the bot sends a message back, but that message that the bot sends into the chat can re-trigger the workflow. And so this if statement makes sure that it's only able to pass the entire workflow through if the messages that are coming through are from users, number one, and are real messages, not like status updates. So it's just a fail-safe that I included, and I recommend that you keep in your workflow as well. It will probably save you a lot of executions, especially if you're on a limited free trial, just like I am on this new account. And it will save you quite a bit of money from being wasted in your AI agent, especially because, like I said, you've just attached your OpenAI API account, and so you have to be quite sensitive with what happens inside your AI agent. If you share your chatbot on WhatsApp with people who are just going to spam it with useless messages, they will deplete your money, your funds that your precious funds that you just uploaded to your OpenAI API account. And as a result, that cost will fall on you or on the coach who you've built it for. So you just kind of want to make sure that you don't waste the credits that you've uploaded to your OpenAI API account by uselessly running this workflow, or with people who are just going to spam it with useless messages or questions. Now that we're at step 5, we're going to connect the knowledge base via Pinecone and upload documents to it that the AI chatbot can use to answer people's questions. So start by creating a folder inside your Google Drive and just call it Coach AI Chatbot Knowledge. Now inside here is where you'd want the high ticket coach to upload their top tier advice and expertise that they want to push into their AI chatbot. So any things like case studies, frameworks that they take clients through, processes, advice, etc., and essentially just a bunch of documents containing their gold, like what really makes them special and the information that they have that really makes them stand out and can be used to advise clients who ask questions. A good place to start is by asking them the frequently asked questions that people have or their clients have when they send them messages or DMs, and just answering those with clear processes, frameworks, etc., and putting those in documents that you would then upload over here as either PDFs, .docx, or .txt files. And essentially then we shall push them into what's known as Pinecone. It's a software that manages your vector database. You've just seen it over here in n8n. And then from there, your n8n AI chatbot will be able to access the information in there to answer people's questions. So I've generated 4 documents, basically just with business advice from the internet, because I'm building an AI business coach, and essentially I've uploaded them here as .docx files. So just make sure that the information you upload here is actually useful to people and is actually simple for the AI chatbot to read and understand, because this is what it shall use to answer people's questions, and you don't want to have to the AI coach answering their clients' questions with like generic internet advice, but like actual gold and lessons and like expertise that they have. Make sure that's what you put in here. And once you have that, essentially what you want to do is open up Pinecone. So create a new tab and visit pinecone.io. Essentially, it's a vector database that allows you to upload information and then connect it to your AI agents and chatbots. And you want to select start for free if you don't have an account, but I'll go ahead and log in because I already do have an account. Once you're logged in, you should be in a page like this, and you want to select create index, and then you want to give your index a name. I'll call this coach AI chatbot. And you're not allowed to have spaces or capital letters, so just take that into consideration. Once you have the name, you can then select the embedding model in the configuration section. I'll scroll all the way to the far right and select text embedding 3 small by OpenAI. This is the one you want to use as well. And then down here where you can configure its dimensions, you want to change the dimensions from 512 to 1536. So once you've done that, you can go ahead and keep the capacity mode on serverless. You don't have to change anything here. Keep the cloud provider on AWS. You don't have to change anything there. And then the region will stay that if you don't have a pro plan, you can select other regions. And that's essentially it. You can then go ahead and create the index. And then it should tell you that the index is initializing, and after a few seconds, it should be ready. There we go. So it's ready. You can then begin to upsert records to it. But to be able to add records to it, you need to be able to connect Pinecone to n8n, meaning you have to come over into API keys, and we'll create a new API key. So you can see I already have the default API key, but I can't copy that. Because I created it earlier, now I can't see it again. So I'll just create a new API key. I'll call this chatbot, I guess, and then I'll go ahead and give it all permissions and create the key. It will give you the key over here. Just select copy and then save it somewhere safe so that you don't have to create a new one, because once you close that tab, you won't be able to see it again. You can see I can't see the full key again. And once you've saved it somewhere safe and copied it, come back into n8n, select turn back on the Pinecone vector store, double click it to select it, and then in credentials, you want to essentially create a new credential. If you don't already have one, you can say I already have one, but I'll go ahead and create a new one, create a new credential, and just paste in the API key, and that's literally it. And then you can hit save, and you should see the credential successfully created, and you're connected to that Pinecone account. Now, essentially what you can do is work with information inside there to answer questions. So you want to start by leaving it on retrieve documents as the operation mode, and for the description you can just say work with the data in the Pinecone knowledge store. And then in the index, you want to select the index we've created. So if I do from list and then choose, you can see I have 2 indexes, but I'll select Coach AI Chatbot. That's the one we want to use, and that's the one I've just created. Do the same and select the index that you've just created. And then if you scroll down to options, we will also select a Pinecone namespace as well, but I'll come back to that in just a bit. And once that's done, we can essentially now move on to the next part, which is, why do I still have an error here? No, that should be fine. Embedding, yeah. So I need to add an embedding model that will be used to embed the answers to the AI agent's responses. So I'll go ahead and search for OpenAI embeddings OpenAI, and make sure it has already selected your credentials automatically. And then for the embedding model, you want to select the same one that we just selected when setting up the Pinecone index. So if you remember, we selected OpenAI and we chose text embedding 3 small. So I'll go ahead and select the same one, and you don't have to add anything else. You can change the dimensions over here, but I'll just leave this as 1536 because those are the dimensions of our index that we created. And then you can save to close this, and you should see that you have no more errors here. So you can go ahead and publish that. Now the next step will involve actually pushing knowledge into Pinecone, and we will have to actually build another workflow to do this. So come over here into the top left and select this add icon and then select new workflow, and I'll just call this workflow knowledge pusher. And the first step that you want to add is just a manual trigger to essentially trigger it manually when we select execute workflow. And then when we execute the workflow, we want it to get files from our Google Drive. So search for Google Drive, you should see it very quickly. And essentially you want to select search files and folders, double click on that, and for the credential you want to select your Google Drive account. What will happen is if you don't have one already, you will have the opportunity to create a new credential by signing in with Google. So just make sure you sign into Google in the same place where you're building your n8n AI chatbot, as the same place where your Google Drive is that you just uploaded that knowledge. Otherwise, you'll have to do it manually, which is a little more tedious. So once you sign into Google, you can then go ahead and select the API account that you've used. I believe this is the one I've used. For the resource, leave it on file/folder. Operation, we're going for search. And then the search method, leave it on search file/folder name. But the search query, you can also leave that as it is. And essentially limit, you want to leave that as is as well. But we want to add filters. So for filter, go to drive. First of all, we want to filter it by my drive. Yep. So we'll leave that as is. And then we also want to add a folder filter, and inside there we shall select the folder in which the knowledge was uploaded, and I believe that's called AI chatbot. So search for that. Yep, coach AI chatbot knowledge. Click on that, and just like that, you're done with this node. So you can click out of that, and then from here you want to actually test it first before you move on. So double click on this and select execute step, and once it has done that, it should return in the output over here the documents that are inside that folder. So if I select JSON, you can see it has output 4 items, 1, 2, 3, 4, because I have 4 documents inside that folder, and you can see all of their names here. That's good. So the next thing we want to do is add another node, and inside here we shall select download from Google Drive. So search for Google Drive again, open that over here and select download file. And then over here, credential, leave it as the Google Drive account credential we've created, resource file, operation, download. And then in this file section, instead of saying from list, change this to by ID. And then over here, you want to put in the ID from the search files and folders. So drag this text toggle up here down into this chat, just like that. And you should see json.id as what it will essentially take. So it will take the IDs of the files that were returned in the previous node, and it will download all of them. And then the next thing we want to do is loop over all 4 of these items and add them to the Pinecone knowledge base one by one. So select add again and search for loop, and you should see this loop over items in brackets split and branches node, and you want to double click that as something you can add. A batch size, leave it on 1, because this will mean it loops over items one by one. Each batch, each loop has 1 item within it. So you can just close that, and it should look something like this. And then in this little replace me thing, you want to double click on that, and over here we shall add Pinecone vector store. So search for Pinecone vector store, click that, and we want to select add documents to vector store. So select that over here. In the embedding over here, add that, and once again go ahead and add the embeddings by OpenAI. Leave it as is. Options, you can add the dimensions and just make sure it's on 1536, and the model on text embedding 3 small, and your credentials should be the ones that you created previously. So I'll just move that over here so we can see a little clearer. And then in the document that we're going to upload to the thing, just select default data loader from the previous steps and change the type of data to binary, and then for the mode, just leave it as load all input data, and data format, leave that as automatically detect by MIME type. So for the text splitting, change it from simple to custom, and then you can click out of this, and you should see that should open another tag that you can edit down here called text splitter. select add and change it to recursive character text splitting. And you can now leave these settings as they are. Basically, to explain what recursive character text splitting is it splits the text inside your documents by sentences or phrases that are related to each other. So for example, in your knowledge base, if you have a bunch of information about pricing, when you upload that to Pinecone, that information will be connected and will be kind of together. That way your AI chatbot doesn't have to search in different places for information that's related. So yeah, once you've done that, you can see I still have this little error. So if I click Pinecone Vector Store, oops, I forgot to select the index to select from. So from list, I'll go ahead and choose Coach AI Chatbot, just like that. And in the default data loader, I'll leave that as is. So I'm just making sure everything is perfect. And I'll actually add an option over here and select Pinecone namespace to create a new namespace within my Pinecone database. You don't have to worry about what this is, but I'll just go ahead and say documents over here. And then I'll close that. And now all that you have to do is execute this workflow to upload those documents into your Pinecone database. So I'll go ahead and execute the workflow, and you should see it should take a little while to download the files, and it will also take a little while to loop over all the items and upload all of those to your Pinecone vector store. And honestly, it didn't even take that long. I thought it was going to take a little longer, but I think it's because my documents are not that heavy. I don't have too much inside them. But you can see it has completed all 4 of the documents. I can see 4 ticks over here. And just like that, if I head back into my Pinecone console and then go to database indexes, I'll select the Coach AI Chatbot. I should see records. So you can see I have a bunch of records over here. So that proves that data has been added to my database, 17 records to be exact. And in my namespace, I can see that documents namespace was created with 17 records inside it. So information is now inside my Pinecone database. Now head back into your AI chatbot workflow. To do that, just select personal and it will take you into a page with all your workflows, and then you can select this workflow. And now come back into the Pinecone vector store over here, down where we had defined the Pinecone index, Coach AI Chatbot. Just check to make sure everything is correct. And I'll actually add option and select the Pinecone namespace as well. And in here, you just want to make sure it's the exact same name as your namespace over here. So in fact, I'll just go ahead and copy documents and I'll paste that here, tell it to get information from there. And then I'll close that and hit publish. So you can see I've started a new conversation with the AI chatbot over WhatsApp. I've just said hi, and then I'll just wait for it to respond. And I'll go ahead and ask about something I read about in one of the knowledge bases. So in this basic business knowledge and advice, I read about the customer service basics. I'll ask, what are the good basic behaviors for customer service? So you can see good customer service behaviors: reply quickly, own the problem, keep messages clear and kind, fix root causes, and ask happy customers for reviews and referrals. So that information is directly from here, almost word for word. And so you can see that it actually works. But I kind of don't like how it outputs a text by saying Ivy Flow AI is helpful coaching assistant first. So essentially you can now edit that in the prompts, coming back into your AI chatbot, going into the AI agent, and then changing this system message to tell it how to respond to people, and how to format its messages and all of that. So then from now on, it's basically just formatting and editing it and telling it how to talk, giving it a personality, all in the system prompt over here. Also, if you want to upload new knowledge to your AI chatbot, make sure you delete the old files from this folder, add the new ones in, and then just run the uploading workflow that we ran before in n8n, and make sure that you select the correct namespace so that it pushes those new documents into the right namespace as well. In that way, the coach can continue to update their AI chatbot and make it better with more information, more advanced help and advice, as the coach themselves also get better at coaching, enabling their clients to get access to the latest and best advice from them. And in case they want to delete any advice or any tips that they no longer use or give to clients, all they have to do is come into Pinecone, select actions over here, and then just delete those old documents and refresh them by uploading the new ones over here and pushing them through using the n8n workflow into Pinecone. And And by the way, a WhatsApp assistant is just one of the things an AI chatbot can do for a coaching business. I made another video on 6 other ways that AI chatbots can help a business that most builders have not even thought about yet. So watch that next so you can get to it before then.